soul of Adam. So Abraham is Adam, but he's gone now at this moment. But if, and we think it's true, we don't usually say it out loud, if at the Akedah Yitzhak was truly shechted, which is something I believe is true, and many Meforshim think that it's true, we usually don't say it. We don't tell the world that we are child killers. We don't kill our children. Chas v'shalom. Well, some do, and we shouldn't do it. It's horrible. But God told them, take your son up and offer him as a sacrifice on one of the mountains I will show you. This is Parsha Vayera, right? So we don't do it, but yet it's certainly there as a possibility. So he took him up. Rashi says he took him down, but the possibility is that he did actually do it. An angel tells him to stop. So I asked the question, who are you going to listen to? An angel or God? You'll listen to God. The angel's his servant, but still, whatever, you're going to listen to God. By the way, that angel is a Satan. You're certainly not going to listen to the Satan, at least I hope not. So you should listen to God. So he did it. So what is the deal with that? So Yitzhak was a holder, a shell, like we are all shells with our soul, body, Stephen, as Rabbi Schrecker says, covering over our soul. And when we die, our soul goes up to a better, hopefully better place. We don't want to rush it. 120 will go up, whatever. But the point is now we get to do mitzvot. Dead men don't do mitzvot, so we have to do that here. But Yitzhak was a holder for a soul at that time, which wasn't a masculine soul. He did not have the soul of Adam. At that time, he had the soul of Chava. Why? Because he had to have that, because Sarah had a piece of the soul of Adam, and that piece went into Rivka. So Rivka completes the cycle of Chava's soul, a piece of it, and it came from Sarah, and the other piece came from Yitzhak, her later husband, when she meets him in Parshas Chayesara. Later, towards the end, falls off the camel, the whole deal. So that's the story of Chava's soul and Adam's soul as they went through their reincarnations. But Adam and Chava had two sons. Does anybody know the two sons' names of Adam and Chava? Be free. If Rabbi, you can guess if you want to. I know it's not a guess. So what are they? Cain and Hevel. That's correct. And Cain, as you know, he killed his brother Hevel, possibly because of jealousy, and possibly because of the jealousy written by the rabbis, but there's also possibly because Cain, was also jealous in another way, that he wasn't given the big bracha by Hashem. He brought a little faulty thing in his offering to God. Hevel brought a better one. Even though Cain invented the idea to do it, he brought a lesser than good thing. And God wasn't happy with him. And he said, sin crouches at the door, you shouldn't be depressed, you should be happy, whatever. But he took him out to the field, ellipsis there, and he says, he killed him. So this is it. Hevel's gone. Don't you think Hevel should get another shot? Well, God did too. God thinks Hevel should get another chance. And in fact, he does. And Hevel gets to come back as, lo and behold, Yaakov. Yaakov is Hevel. And, for that matter, since Hevel and Cain were brothers, twins, but later, a little later time, not much later, I don't mean twins, right there, twins. A little later on, his twin brother was born. And we know there are twins born now in this week's Parsha. Who was born as twins? Esav and Yaakov. I say Esav first because he's the older brother. Yaakov's holding on to his heel. That's where they get the word Eke. That's why they get the word Yaakov from. Okay, but be that as it may, we are going to go weiter on that. So he is Cain, Esav, and we're going to show that right now, and Yaakov is Hevel. Let me do the Hevel first. So, if you look at, and I'm going to find where it is, right, the hay with the big dotted underline on line number 32. This is chapter 25 now, before all that stuff with the wells. This is where Yaakov and Esav and Yaakov are born, and now Yaakov's trying to get the birthright from Esav, and he will, of course. And his name, Hevel, is a hay, the bait, which is double underline, we'll tell you why in a few minutes, and the lamed. It spells the code Hevel, but I admit I put a different underline under the bait for a different reason. And the bait of Hevel happens to be the bait of who? Yaakov. Doesn't prove it, but it's very interesting. And there's many, many more of these I didn't show you. So we're going to state that Hevel becomes Yaakov, gets to come back, good boy, and the other one, Cain, gets to come back too, because even he gets another chance from God, because what did God do with him? He made him wander all over the place, remember that? And then he's killed by somebody also, remember that one, Lamech, I believe. All right, and anyway, continuing. So what else do we have here? So we have this line, I want to read it. So you know the beginning of the story. On one foot, the beginning of the story is, they were children in the womb of Rivka. Rivka's questioning Hashem. She says, if I am thus, what's my life to me? Because they're fighting in the womb. What was the fight about? So Cain and Hevel were the souls in the womb, and they're fighting. Was Cain evil? It's a soul. Souls are all pristine. Our souls are not evil. It's us who put schmutz on our souls, and we need to clean it up. Maybe it's time to Gehenna. Maybe we just need to do something on the earth. Whatever it is, we need to clean it. But the soul is pristine. It's not evil or good. It's neither. It's a soul. It's only good. It's only light. Light from Hashem. So we have to do something about it. But the soul is good. So if the soul is good, Cain and Hevel and the thing couldn't possibly be as souls in these bodies. They're babies. They're not even born yet. Possibly been any evil. So wait a minute. Rashi says directly that when they passed by a house of worship, Hevel wanted, Yaakov wanted to get out. He wanted to run out. He wants to go pray to God. He's a good boy, right? And what was the other one when they passed a house of idolatry? Who wanted to get out? Esav. So that's what Rashi says. But a super commentary, that is another commentary, on Rashi says this. Esav didn't want to get out because he liked idolatry. He wanted to get out to destroy idolatry. Super commentary on Rashi. Trust me. Therefore, yes, that's true. I don't have it here for you. I'd have to find it again. But it is one. I think Rabbi Kolach brought it one night also. That's super commentary. Anyway, that's I think where I first heard it, in fact. So, therefore, he wanted to stop idolatry. Even if he's kind, it doesn't matter. He wasn't evil yet. When did he become evil? When he got out and saw how the good life is, hunting for his father and getting food and being with the hunters. If you're with the hunters, these are kind of manly men, but they're also kind of not so great. It's kind of think about how the army does. And an army, I was never in the army. Thank God my brother was. When you go to war, or even go to peace, but you're still maybe fighting out there, men swear they do horrible things when they're in the army. I'm not saying they're bad. They are good people, they need to defend the country, but guys get together and you know what happens. Even Trump, don't forget the little trailer park trash that he talked and almost got in trouble in October for this stuff. Said some words, I will not even repeat them. And that's nothing compared to what some people do. Anyway, so that's what the army does. So you don't think he goes out and hunts with men. What is Yaakov? He's a simple man. He's living in tents. He's a nerd. Not really. He's not a nerd. He's a good Jewish boy. Stays with his mother. He's not hunting. But Yitzhak didn't care for him as much. He loved him as a nice little Torah study boy. But who's the boy that Yitzhak liked the best? Esav. And we know that because it says it. Well, let's look at this puzzle. So now we're down in the time where Yaakov is cooking a stew. So let's read below to learn about this stew, first of all. Esav came in from the field. The line actually says, line 29. The Yazid Yaakov Nazid Vayavo Esav min hasadeh vahu ayef. So what does that mean in English translation? I don't have the translation here. We have part of it in here. It says Vayazid Yaakov Nazid. Yaakov was cooking. He's actually sawed pottage is the translation that I had from years ago. It means he's making a stew, and we'll learn why in a moment. And Esav came in from the field, and he's exhausted. Right word, Rose? I want to use the word that Rose told me. He was exhausted. All right, exhausted. That's what the article says. Translation. What's this mean? Do I even need to know? What do I care? I mean, do I need to know that thousands of years ago, this is Rabbi Sprecher, I'm being the Gilgul of Rabbi, not really, he's here alive. I'm being like the, what do you call it, the copy of Rabbi Sprecher. He says, what do I need to know? What Yaakov did, he makes a stew. So, we need to know Yaakov was a good cook, or a bad cook. He might have burnt it, I don't know. But Esav's coming into the field. Who cares? Do we need to know this information? Well, yes, we do. We need to know this for various, many important things, even related to halachot. But right now, we're not doing halachot now. So we have this line. We don't know why the stew. We don't know why Esav is coming out from the field, and what field this was. So we're going to read below. Esav came in from the field, and he was exhausted. The Gemara, Baba Basra 16b, records, Rabbi Yochanan said, Esav committed 5 sins on that very day, i.e., the day on which he sold the birthright. This is all about, we're going to get to, the selling of the birthright. First of all, he committed adultery with a betrothed girl. He murdered a man. He denied God. He denied the resurrection of the dead, and he rejected the birthright. Rabbi Victor Miller has an interesting spin on this. We will read it, maybe if we get a chance. I'm running out of time, so maybe not. But at any rate, it'll tell us something interesting, though, in Rabbi Victor Miller Zaitzel's commentary. But what do we know? Besides what I just read that they said, you have to know more than that. So if you read the Talmud, Baba Basra 16b, you find out that what day was that besides the selling of the birthright, and why did Esau do these things? So you look at the life of Avram Avinu. Last week's Parsha, we found out that Avram was how old when he died? Does anybody remember? Well, don't worry, I'll tell you. 175 years old. And Yitzhak's going to get to be, later on we learn about his death, 180 years old. So you got to ask a question. Wasn't Avram at least as good as Yitzhak? Probably better. He's the first man. Yitzhak's his son, a great boy too. And Avram's chesed, all those good things. He was tested majorly 10 times. Don't you think he should get 180 years like Yitzhak? I would think so. Now Yaakov, maybe there's a different reason. He only got 147. We won't question that. But we're going to question the Yitzhak and the Abraham. I think he should have those 5 years. Why didn't he get them? Because he had grandchildren. And the grandchildren he knew was alive. Last week's Parsha says he died, but the beginning of this week's Parsha, he's still around for a little while these boys are born. They are born and they get to be 12, 13, 14, whatever it is, teenagers. And when they're teenagers is when, or something around there, that's when this is happening. You can check the exact timeline. I don't remember the exact year, but they're certainly not babies. They're at least teenagers, maybe older. So that's when who dies? Abraham, 175. So he stayed alive until he saw what? That his grandson Esav was going to do bad things. When did he do bad things? Not from birth. He did bad things when he became a teenager, I guess, and because he went out in the field and did these horrible things. So now we learn another thing. Yaakov, it says this in the same place. What was he making a stew for? He was making a stew for a mourner's meal. It was a mourner's meal for his grandpa, who? Abraham. Abraham's dead. And now you know another piece of the puzzle without even coding gematria. And that piece of the puzzle is, if he was doing a stew, and it was a mourner's stew of lentil stew, that's what it says it was there, then, and the lentils are round, and it reminds you of Olam Haba, and the world, how it's everything's a completion. It says it in the Gemara. Therefore, you learn it's a mourner's stew, Abraham's dead. So now, if that's true, what's the field? So if you made a mourner's stew, they must be pretty close to where they're burying Abraham. Where does Abraham get buried? Anybody? In Hebron. He gets buried in the grave of the patriarchs, just like Sarah, his blessed wife, got buried in the beginning of Parsha Toldot. That's where he deals that deal, the horrible deal with Ephraim, the swindler, and makes that deal. So that's back in Sarah, but now we know Abraham's going to be buried there too. And that has 2 parts, because he got gypped by Ephraim. What are the parts? It has a cave. What else does it have? A field, because he had to pay big bucks to have a field. That's the field. That's why we needed a field. Esav wasn't just in some field somewhere. He was in the field nearby where the burial is. He went to the funeral. Maybe he didn't come to the Shiva thing. I don't know. He's going to come in. He's exhausted. But now we're going to see an important part. So besides that, that's the field. By the way, we're going to see a word right associated with it. Ma'ara. What does Ma'ara mean? Cave. Actually, there's a code here that ends in the hay of Hasadeh, because it's the field and the cave. That's what Abraham bought, and now that's where Abraham is, buried in that cave. Go visit Hebron, and you can see. You can't actually see the sepulcher. It's somewhere down below. But you get to be upstairs with the candles and all that stuff and get to see from that part. I've been in that part. I've never been anywhere else. There's been children, they say, who have actually gone into the cave part of the thing, and miracles have happened down there. I don't think I want to go. It's kind of scary. But I don't like dark anyway. So that's what they say. Anyway, but for our purposes, besides Ma'ara, look at the words that about Esav. It says, Vahu ayef. What does that mean? And he was or is exhausted. He's pooped. He's pretty tired because he did something with a virgin, betrothed virgin. He did what? He murdered a man. Then he's going to do these other things afterwards, like despise the birthright and not believe in God. That's easy. I mean, you don't do it, but it's not a hard task. But he's tired because he did all this stuff. So, look at the word used, ayef. What's the gematria of ayef? Let's do it together. Ayin is worth what? Anybody who remembers. Rose, you can talk. What?
80?
Not 80, that's pay. 70. 70. Yud is equal to 10, so we got 80 in total now, right? And pay, buying over that, is equal to 80. 80 is 160. So what player we've been talking about is equal to 160? Cain. Cain's 160. So what is he saying? He's saying, and he is or was Cain. He came in for the field after doing all that horrible stuff, and Avram's dead because of this horrible stuff, lost 5 years of his life because he shouldn't see what his grandson, beautiful little Esav, is doing. He dies. And ayef means Cain in Gematria. And there's not only one, there's two. Because if you look at line number 30, I put a big ayin because of another word code, but it's ayef again. He says, give me some of that red stuff, red stuff, because I am, he says, ki ayef anochi, because I'm exhausted. Otherwise, I'm about to die. I'm really hungry and thirsty and tired. I'm really tired. What does eating have to do with tired? I have no idea. But the word is exhausted that they translate. I thought it was famished. I saw it once as famished. But whichever way you go, it's ayef. And ayef is equal again to 160. So two lines say in Gematria, not just 1, 2, that he is Cain. And by the way, has a yud of Cain's name also, which is interesting. So that's who he is. He is Cain. And it makes sense he's Cain, because Cain did kill his brother, and this guy eventually, because of what Yaakov does, is going to want to kill his brother. All right? I want to get one more word. The word Hevel goes through this bait. We already said it's in Yaakov's name, and Avel is there. What does Avel mean?
Mourner.
Avelut. Avel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. It means mourner. He's a mourner. And maybe Esav too, but certainly him. So that's what we've got, and this is about selling of the birthright. There's one more word here I want to show you. Who is the man that Esav killed? So let's read the back page to see. It says it right here clearly on Victor Miller. You don't need a Victor Miller for it, because the rabbis say this clearly. I think Rashi says it. The man who Esav murdered was none other than Nimrod. Remember Nimrod? What did he do? He threw Avram in a fiery furnace. It's here. Nimrod is here too. How can it be? It's got a nun, a mem, a resh, a daled. Daled's not so easy. It's got his name, final mem, admittedly, but still it's here. Large skip, I don't care what it is. It's not important. Probably, well, maybe it is. But Nimrod is here. So all that stuff is here. It's kind of amazing. And one more part. Look at the ayin and ayef, the second ayef. The daled and the final nun, it spells Aden. Why would that be there? Because the Cave of the Patriarchs is an entrance to Gan Eden. Yeah, you got it. All right, so we're going weiter. How much will I do? I don't know.